5, 4, 3, 2.
Cue the spirit.
On this day of your life, I believe God wants you to know that you are on the right path. You are marching straight to your own joy and to happiness for others. Did you need a signal from the universe about this? Consider that signal has been sent. Now it's just a matter of trust. You trust that God knows what she is doing? You will not have to think about a second to know exactly why you received this message today. Love, your friend Neil Donald Walsh. Greetings and blessings, dear friends in the spirit. I am Eddie Luisi.
And I am Luisi. Now,
So-
when you just were saying that prayer, I was going like this because I feel like this is my prayerful pose.
Okay.
And I'm just tucking my head down and feeling my heart and hearing and listening intently to your words and trying to transfer it into my being.
Awesome.
That's just something I feel.
Great.
If you want to try it, it's up to you. Okay, go
All
on.
right. So we are calling this talk today The Fullness of Your Destiny, and you'll find out that later on. So what I like to do a lot of times on the Friends in the Spirit 111 videos is I share a little bit about the week. And
I watched your videos, honey.
and she is my wife, so she's kind of part of my week too.
Oh, so
But,
you talk about me. Okay. Cool.
So Saturday night, we all know that our dear friend Terry Kinnear passed last week. And Saturday night, while I was doing my church mass at Immaculate Conception, my son Andrew stopped by the Kinnears' backyard. And they had this big bonfire, and they were having some beers. And I stopped by eventually. And we were all talking about memories about Terry.
Terry was a really unique individual. She had a huge heart, and she worked at North Rockland. And I don't remember which school.
The school district, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember Ella,
Our daughter.
is commenting on how nice this woman Terry was, and the amount of affection that she got from the children was pretty amazing. And it made me think of the Emerson poem and
Ralph Aldo. Right?
Ralph Waldo.
Waldo.
Where's Waldo? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children. And I feel like she did exactly like that.
The children in the community and also her family, you know, her own kids and her grandchildren. So
Yeah.
God bless your soul. Sunday, St. Patty's Day.
Oh,
Neither of us had a Guinness. What's the deal with
I
that?
don't know. We should have, I guess.
We had Irish soda bread, but we didn't have any Guinness. But our daughter Grace went down to the St. Patty's Day parade.
It was a big drunken fest.
Okay, well.
Well,
But I'm trying to find the positive in that.
Oh.
She went with her friends.
oh, right.
That are Irish and never been to the parade before. So how wonderful was the fullness of her bringing her Irish friends to a parade. So we're gonna move on with that. Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, it's okay.
Positive. No. Love all you Irish people out there.
No.
Okay.
It was more just teenage stupidity. This
Okay.
doesn't even. That's all that needs to be said, actually.
And I once was a teenager, so I was stupid at one time. No, yeah, okay. So let's move on. Monday on the set of GMA, we had two great celebs. We had the Rascal Flatts, the musicians, the country bands, and Joel Osteen. Both of them were there. I know them both well because they've been on the show many times before. I found out through a friend, Nick Barre, that Jay, the bass player of Rascal Flatts, has his own Christian record company. Cool. And Nick sent me a text saying, Ed, you got to get a hold of Jay and see if you could submit some of your songs. So initially we chit-chatted a little bit, and then I kind of was just professional, did my job. But at the end I said, I got to talk to him. So at the end, after rehearsal and after the show, you know, it's a great job. And I said, hey, can I submit some of my songs to you? Can I stay connected? He said, yeah. So he gave me his website, he gave me his email. So right then and there, right when the show is over, I shoot him an email and I say thank you. And took 4 days, but he got back to me. He said, "Yeah, send me songs." So I did. And I sent him the one song, Faith, Family, and Friends,
Mm-hmm.
which I wrote back in 1993. And it was all about the Midwest floods of 1993. And it's happening again.
Yeah.
And our weather person, Rob Marciano, mentioned the 1993 flood. So God bless all those who are hurting, and our prayers are for you. But I did write a song about you could lose all your possessions, and start from the end, but you can't lose your faith, your family, and friends. So
there was something that I was just reading recently, is when you lose sight of the divine, the spirit, whatever you want to talk about, when you're in pain. When you're in so much pain, you just lose sight that spirit is actually still there and working for your good. But many of us allow that block to happen. And I know I've done it myself. And I concentrate so much on the pain that I forget to lean back and surrender to the spirit, the divine, that I am going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And it is that belief that all of this can happen, but yet I will be okay. God, divine, spirit, whatever you want to call it, will take care of me.
And in the midst of this pain and turmoil and suffering, there are others that help out.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
One of my lines is, faceless friends from all over came to live there, give their support. And I remember years ago, there was a lot of faceless friends, people, volunteers. You don't know who they are, so they're considered faceless. So yeah, there's always help, there's always love, there's always kindness throughout that.
You should have brought your guitar. You could have played a little bit.
You don't want to hear me sing, do you?
Yeah, you do.
So I want to read something from Joel Osteen, because I get texts and emails from him.
Wow.
So this is Joel saying something. 20 years ago, my father went to be with the Lord. Oh, and interesting, he mentioned this 20 years. Rascal Flatts have been together since 1999, so it's 20 years also. So that's why I kind of want to read this, because for some reason 1999 is sticking with me. I had worked comfortably behind the scenes here at Lakewood for 17 years doing the television production. I felt fulfilled. I thought that's what I would do the rest of my life. But when he died, I knew I was supposed to step up and pastor the church. But I had never ministered before. All the what ifs came. What if you fail? What if nobody comes? What if people don't like you? There are times I was so afraid that I couldn't do it, that I had to hold on to the podium. But it was in that scary place that I discovered talent I hadn't known. So I'm just going to stop for a second, because both of us are in TV. I've been at GMA 33 years, but I'm kind of stepping out doing these videos and this ministry work. And now Liz is stepping into this also. We're both talking about writing a book, Cue the Spirit. So we're afraid too. But
I'm a newbie. You've got the spirit, and I see your soul. I'm like a little guy just starting out.
So he mentions in 1 Kings 19, God told the prophet Elijah to anoint Elisha to succeed him as a prophet. Elisha had a good job in the family business with a bright future there. His parents were going to turn the farm over to him one day. Okay, so this whole story about this, I'm going to skip that. But he says there are some opportunities that don't come a second time. This was a destiny moment for Elisha, where it was either now or never. That's what it was for me, Joel, with pastoring the church. I didn't have 2 years to think it over and prepare. My attitude was, I'm going to go to my grave wondering what would have happened if I had not let the scary place hold me back. I was afraid, but on the other side of the fear was a destiny bigger than I ever imagined. And then he writes the last thing. Life is too short to settle for things you know are less than what's in you. I've learned that if it doesn't scare me, it's not big enough. If we can do it in our own strength, it doesn't take faith. I dare you to pray, God, bring something across my path so big that only you can make it happen. Scare me again. When he does, don't shrink back. Take that step of faith. If you do, you're going to rise to levels you never thought possible, accomplish dreams bigger than you've imagined, overcome obstacles that seem insurmountable, and reach the fullness of your destiny. That's what we're calling this talk, the fullness of your destiny.
I totally understand the part about fear. It can either stop you in your tracks and paralyze you or propel you forward. And it sounds like Joel says the bigger you dream and the bigger fear you have, but to propel you forward. And I know there are some mornings since we started talking about writing this book. I've always wanted to be a writer, and I've had never completed a project, and I'm really nervous about writing Cue the Spirit. I want to do a great job, and there have been mornings that I've woken up and I'm laying in bed and I'm in the middle of an anxiety attack, just waking up. And so the only thing that helps is just I close my eyes and I say that fear is a liar, which is a song, but it's a quote from a song, and also that this is just the anxiety talking. This isn't real. This isn't real. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And saying it 3 times, isn't there some sort of thing when you say something 3 times?
Well, I mean, you know, the Holy Spirit's triple, and a lot of things in the Bible, when they're repeated multiple times, is just a strength.
Right. And then I get out of bed and go forward.
So last week on Monday, we wanted to record the Cue the Spirit video, but our dog Mary,
Oh gosh,
right?
you're talking about this.
She hurt herself, and
Tore her ACL on her right leg, and she's hobbling around. She's got a big surgery on Monday, which
this Monday coming up. But
she's 11. She's been my dog, and she was a therapy dog. We worked a lot, and
went to cancer hospitals, right, in different places.
yeah, all over the place for many years, and then she got bitten by a chihuahua, and she got really scared and hasn't been able to do it since. But anyway, I'm hoping and praying that the surgery will go well and she'll be okay.
So Liz has been sleeping down here on this settee because Mary's here. Mary can't go up the stairs, and she just wants to. You want to be with Mary, not leave Mary alone.
Right.
And
then for 2 weeks she has to have that cone around her neck, and last time she had an issue when she wore that, she was able to take it off, so I have to watch her, and she tore her stitches, so I have to watch her for the next.
So that's why we didn't do it Monday. We did it Tuesday.
Got it.
But now, after many discussions between each other and talking, we think we're going to just do this together. Friends in the Spirit 111, Cue the Spirit. We're going to just do it together. 1 video a week, and that's the direction we're going to go. And I think it's going to work really nicely.
As I'm on my quest, and you are my mentor. So my spiritual quest and my spiritual mentor.
And I think you're getting sick of seeing me by myself with that weird background and just doing my own thing.
Yeah,
so we're going to do
we
this.
have a lot of Cue the Spirit stuff in the background. And
yeah, one day we'll bring the camera and we'll show you some of the pictures. But Liz made a little vision board of all different pictures so we could talk about that. On Tuesday, the Media Project came by to stop by GMA. And Liz always likes when I talk about GMA and my spiritual connection. And the Media Project, we are a global network of journalists. TMP empowers journalists to provide a more profound understanding of the role of religion in public life through accurate, thorough, and intellectually honest reporting. Our organization educates journalists on the importance of religion at training programs worldwide. We welcome friends from all faiths, friends in the Spirit, right, to these events and discussions. Our programs, we have hosted major international conferences in cities around the world, including Hong Kong, London, Barcelona, Istanbul, and Mexico City. More than 2,000 journalists and religious leaders attended the events focusing on religious and press freedom, distinguishing fact from misinformation, and addressing the challenges of blasphemy laws and reporting. Melissa Harrison, hey Melissa, and Paul Glader. Paul's also part of King's College. King's College comes to GMA too. So that's something that my spirit. I'm cueing the spirit with
Well,
students.
I'm curious with you reading that. Do you ever feel awkward or closed off to talking to people at work about your faith and about your spirituality?
No, and I might have said this before if you were watching my videos or not. But
I don't think I watched everyone. I'm sorry.
Future Now Media Conference, Peggy Kim, right? She's a dear friend in spirit. I'm part of that, and we had one day on a media tour. We had a bunch of students come into GMA, and then afterwards, I give them a talk. And throughout the years, being there 33 years, there've been many schools, high schools, colleges, different media events that come to GMA, and then I give them a talk. It's inspirational, it's motivational, and sometimes I get into religion. And this one young lady asked me, "How do you bring Christ into work?" And I said, "I don't." I said, "I don't talk about Jesus, I don't talk about religion, I don't talk about spirituality to anybody unless somebody asks me." I have my tattoos, blessed, forgiven.
You're fighting the wrong way. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then I got the new one, grateful, being Olivia, my daughter have it. But
Our daughter.
our daughter, sorry. She had a little part in the birth. Stop. We're moving on. Okay, you want to talk about
She was
that?
8 pounds 8 ounces. I would say it had something to do with it. Hello.
So there are some visual things on me, right? And then there's my spirit and stuff. And I say basically, I don't talk religion, spirituality, but my light, my internal light, my love, my kindness, just permeates, I guess, the set and the people that I meet. And that's what Cue the Spirit's about. I've been there 33 years, and my spirit has touched the walls of GMA, touched the hearts of on air talent, guests, audience members, crew members. And that's how I do it without preaching, without cracking, and telling people, you got to do this or you're going to hell or this and that. Like, I don't do any of that.
It's sort of when I've observed you, it's very natural that you get into conversations. But also, I don't think it's just about your faith, but I think it's the way you interact with everybody on this set. It's a very, you have just a very loving heart, and you really want the best outcome for the show. So I think that when you're talking to Michael or Robin or George or whoever or the Roscoe Flats, you're always in the process of making them all ready for air and calm, excited, because it's nerve-wracking, even for people who have been on TV for so many years, like George and Robin. Everyone still gets nervous, so this little face helps.
And you don't know. I tell Liz this, and I tell some other people. You don't know what people are bringing into work that day. You don't know what's on their mind. You don't know if there's problems. You don't know how they're feeling. So I try to come in every single day happy, with a smile, complimentary, seeing good in people and trying to bring out the best of them in what I do.
Doesn't always work.
No, of course not.
Doesn't always work.
And even in these videos, I try to bring out the best in you guys and try to give you some little lessons and reflections that help you. Does it always work? I don't know, but if there's one thing, and I was taught, I was raised Catholic and church musician, and I was told a long time ago, I don't remember who told me, but a priest told me that even like you might go and hear a sermon or homily in any church, right? And it might be boring, you might not be liking it, but if you listen and grab one thing out of it, then that's great, right? You grab one thing out of, this video is 20 minutes, a half hour. If you could grab one thing that touches you, then that's good.
It's good.
Right? I'm going to read just a couple little letters because, like I said, we have a lot of different schools to come. From someone, Wasatch High School. Eddie, thank you so much for all the time that you took for us while we were visiting GMA. It was definitely an experience I will never forget. Thank you for all the wise words and kindness that you shared. I will never forget any of it. Wasatch High School. Love you guys.
Oh,
This is the old hat. They gave me a new hat, but I like the old hat. So
like the Hornets or something.
this is from somebody Midway, Vermont. So I don't know what school it's from. They didn't say. Eddie, thank you so much for making our experience at GMA so amazing. Your fun personality was the highlight of my trip. I love getting to learn from you and listening to your stories. Your advice about saying yes will stick with me. Thank you. Always keep laughing.
Okay, so this is interesting because you always say that to the students. Saying yes is really important when you're just starting out.
Career-wise.
Career-wise, you know, and say yes if you whatever opportunity might come up that will help you to say yes. And I just finished reading Shonda Rhimes' book, A Year of Yeses. Now hers was a little different in the sense that she was so used to working, and very tunneled. And her sister was saying, you know, you don't say yes to anything. You always turn down this event or this talk that maybe you could do. And so she decided that she was going to say yes all through the year. And that included doing the commencement speech at her alma mater, Dartmouth. And it included saying yes to her children when they would say, she's got all her stuff, she's walking out the door, going to work, and all of a sudden one of her kids would say, Mommy, will you play with me? She'd put down her stuff, and she would play with them. She said she knew from their personalities, it'd probably take 10, 15 minutes of play, and then she could leave. And she did it. She actually put everything down and played with her child. And that's the same, it feels similar to me when you're open and you're willing to put yourself out there and be your best self and saying yes.
And isn't it great that Liz throws in those stories? So we don't talk about this.
No.
But I would have just read that and moved on. So now she pops in and mentions something that she read and gives a story. And that makes these videos, this makes it more interesting. So thank you, honey.
You're welcome. But there's a flip side to that.
Uh-oh.
Because there's that other word, no. And my very good friend Megan Donovan, we have always been friends since she was the speech therapist for one of our daughters. And she believes in the power of saying no in terms of parenting. And she says no is a form of love. Yeah. And it is. When you say no to your child, it's not like you're trying to stop them from growing. It's sort of showing them boundaries. And I think it's really important that we do say no to our kids and not let them have everything on a silver platter.
And when I give talks to the schools, I tell them yes, career-wise, yes, but morally, there is a no, right? We're parents, we have kids, so
yeah, there is a no, and there's no fear in saying no. I think a lot of parents these days feel afraid to say no to their kids.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So kids, if you're listening, no. From Delphian School in Oregon. Dear Mr. Luisi, oh, I got a mister on this one. Thank you for showing us around the studios. I really like hearing you talk about your career journey. I am very interested in photography and videography, so visiting with you was really fun for me. I also got to use one of the cameras that was in the studio, and I learned that it costs $500,000 just for one unit.
They let them touch the camera?
We have really cool crew, and especially at Wasatch, when they becoming Scott Schneider, Steve Rubinaccio, always great camera people, #1 network camera people, always have the kids come behind and play around and do stuff. And,
nice.
and it's part of what we do there. Talking about Good Morning America, Liz always wants me to have some type of photo because we could talk about, cueing the spirit. So here's a photo. Can you see it?
Really far. Okay,
I can see that.
and look right there's George with all these students.
George Stephanopoulos. So this was my son when he did a fellowship at Hartford Seminary. And
Now,
1,
George
2,
was a
3,
religion
4,
major.
5, 6, 7. Right, and his dad, I think, is a bishop in the Greek Orthodox Church.
But I don't remember where he was a religion major at George Washington. Where did he go? I don't know where he went to school, but he did study religion, and that was.
I think he did religion in his master's. Not sure. George, if you're watching, let us know. But
Sorry.
these were 7 top students. My son was one from around the world, and it was a religion and a social justice and a peace fellowship. And one day they came into the United Nations. They had a connection there, and Andrew said, "Can we come to GMA?" And you think maybe George could talk because they know about George with ABC News and the religion.
Yeah.
And George said yes, and they came to GMA. We did United Nations, which was all downtown, and then we went uptown. And this shot is in the office, and you can see
Oh.
George is casual, no fancy hair, no glasses, got the shirt open. So this was definitely a cue the spirit moment. And they were asking, and these are older people. They're not just, college kids. Some people here in the
College age.
college, 40, 50 years old. And they were asking some really great questions and from around the world. And George, after the next day, said, "Ed," he said, "these are like great questions. I wasn't expecting this. I was just expecting,
A little talk.
yeah, and like little college age stuff."
But he enjoyed it.
Right. So the fullness of your destiny, right? That's what this talks about. The fullness of these students and what they're doing, and fabulous stuff.
That was really nice of George to do, to take time out of his day.
George rocks, and I needed to mention that because last week I mentioned Robin
Yeah.
and Michael. So each week we'll try to tell a little story about GMA.
Do you ever get nervous, like asking the talent, can
To
you
do
do
things?
it, to do stuff? Because Eddie gets asked a lot.
I have to choose and pick what I could ask them and when I could ask them, and so there's a lot of no's, but
Sure.
a couple things here and there.
Because
I'll
they're
choose.
busy, not because they're unkind or unwilling, but there is a limit.
And when you're a celeb, you have thousands and thousands and thousands of
Requests.
people always asking for autographs, pictures, videos. So yeah, so
But
but one day, all you celebrity friends, we're going to ask you to write something and cue the spirit.
Yeah.
So think about it. You hear me? Robin, Michael, George, Charlie, Diane Sawyer, all you guys. Rascal Flats. Okay, so this is
how
from
many more do you got here?
Daily
Right?
Word. Yeah,
It's a
because
lot.
we're chit-chatting, we have a lot, but
Oh.
this is all
Okay.
part of the fullness of your destiny.
Okay.
And you know what? When I listen to podcasts in the morning, and I listen to Rob Bell a lot, and his podcast can be a good 45 minutes.
Oh.
So we're at 27 minutes now.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
rocking.
Oh my gosh.
Divine order, abiding in Christ's consciousness, I become the light of the world. This is from Daily Word Unity. Unity minister and author Eric Butterworth shared the following thought. Things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that matter are the things that happen in you. The internal, right? Remember in the beginning, Liz was holding her heart? She got it, right? You're getting there, hon.
Am I getting there?
The internal unfolding of divine ideas never ceases. In prayer, I affirm divine order in every area of my life. I attune my awareness to the Christ, the image of God that lives at the center of my being. In Christ awareness, my mind is one with divine mind. Every expression of my mind, heart, and hands is under divine direction. Abiding in Christ consciousness, I become the light of the world. And from Ephesians 3:8, this grace was given to me to bring to the Gentiles the news of the boundless riches of Christ.
Actually, I'm gonna be honest where I got this from. This position with my hands over my heart. I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan, and this one actress, Sarah Drew, her character, April, was having a crisis in faith, and she was working in the hospital, and she would go to the chapel there. And this one part where she had lost 2 patients, and it just crushed her spirit. And also, one of the people that she lost was this young boy. He was shot, and it ripped her heart out. And so she was in the chapel, and she had her hands like this, and she was just rocking back and forth and closing her eyes and just holding her heart. And the pain on her face was so real. And she is a Christian, Sarah Drew is. So I don't know, that it was just a really powerful moment, and I just mimicking it in my simplistic form, I really do feel a connection to the divine.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So, from Nicole Phillips of the Kindness Podcast, she did a post, and this is the fullness of your destiny. I want to read this.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, can I read it? I want to do something.
I'm gonna sit back while she's reading.
All I'm doing
Thank
is
you.
looking at you.
Good.
Okay. He turned in his keys, his parking pass, and his staff ID. My husband is no longer employed at Ohio University. I won't say he was fired because, as a general rule, I don't use the F word. His contract was up, and the athletic director decided to go into a different direction. A gentlemanly parting of ways, if you will. But it doesn't feel gentlemanly. It feels like high school. In high school, I had a long-term boyfriend. His home became my home. His parents became my parents. We were inseparable until we separated. Imagine sitting in science class heartbroken as you watch your ex-boyfriend flirt with his new girlfriend. All of a sudden you feel less than, not so pretty, not so funny, not so smart. But then a girl who sits next to you, whom you've never talked to because you were too busy with your boyfriend, starts talking to you. She laughs at your jokes and asks what answer you got out for number 9. All of a sudden you have a new friend and things aren't looking so bleak. Saul's job was our match made in heaven. This town became our town. These people became our class. And now the school has a new coach. We've been sent zooming back to the high school science class. But just like that in the classroom, we are filled with people coming out of nowhere. Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, North Dakota, California, Florida, Minnesota, who are breathing hope into our lives by reminding my husband of what we know deep down. He's good at what he does. Really good.
It's not about me, though. So
I
it's
know.
another story, but thank
This
you.
isn't the end of the book. It's the beginning of the next chapter. And guess what? That new coach who will take over Saul's job, his name is Jeff Bowles. Saul has already met him a handful of times. But in 2015, he was an assistant at Ohio State in Columbus, where I had my breast cancer appointments. Jeff called Saul and offered us his house so we wouldn't have to travel so much. We didn't end up needing it, but that my friend's kindness, Jeff graduated from OU and played basketball there. You're going to be in good hands, Athens, and so we are. Saul and I know that God has a new assignment for our lives. I love that word, assignment.
I like that.
Really
Instead of
like
a
that.
journey?
Instead of assignment. Well, no, not just...
Okay.
One we could step into if we weren't willing to step out of something else. So stepping out of the negative, really, right? Because they were so nervous that he got stopped his job. So that's the question I want to ask you today. What do you need to step out of in order to step into something better, something divinely appointed to just you? Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable and scary and maybe even a bit like high school. But let me assure you, we've got this. And so do you, because God gets us all.
Amen.
Amen. I like that.
We had to read that. Thank you, Nicole, for that.
I like that of the idea of having an assignment. I really want my assignment to be writing this book, but it's really scary.
She could do it.
I hope so.
From Daily Practice, Sacred Reading, and Meditation, One Spirit Learning Alliance. And Wednesday, I actually volunteered with One Spirit Learning Alliance, and we were at a homeless thrift shop, and it was great. I put some pictures there. So the person who is in tune with the universe becomes like a radio receiver through which the voice of the universe is transmitted. This is from somebody that I can't pronounce, so I'm going to let Liz try.
What? Harazat and Yat Khan.
The Inner Life.
Maybe.
I'm going to read one more short prayer, and I'm going to let Liz end it with one thing. And I know this is longer than normal, but hopefully you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it.
Good. Love is the only way, from the Secret Daily Teachings by Rhonda Byrne. The law of attraction cannot change anything in your life that you hate, because hate prevents the change from coming. Since the law is giving us exactly what we are putting out, When you hate something, the Lord must continue to give you more of what you hate. You will not be able to move away from it. Love is the only way. If you focus completely on the things you love, then you are on your way to a beautiful life. I love you.
Aw, I love you too. Want to kiss on air? We just did, so.
Just a little cute, little peck, a little peck. Okay, so we're gonna end with, remember we're doing fast and feast during Lent?
Yes.
So this is, I fast on patience.
Ugh, I need help with patience. I am not a patient person. I bring patience. He's super patient. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I bring patience in all aspects of my life. With serenity and calmness, I meet all people and situations with patience. When faced with disappointments or delays, I respond with
Equanimity.
equanimity. In the presence of rudeness, I remain centered and peaceful. I am gentle, easygoing, and understanding. Patience pervades my body, and my heartbeat is steady and my breath deep. I remain grounded in truth wherever I stand, and I speak words of integrity and kindness. In prayer, I calm tranquility.
I claim.
In prayer, I claim tranquility and peace. As I realize these gifts in the silence, my consciousness is filled with the patience that allows me to choose my response calmly and with intention. My patience is as tall as a mountain, as deep as a cavern, and as still as a tranquil lake. I feast on patience when I identify with and live my divinity. I feast on patience when I release resentment and choose to forgive. I feast on patience when I choose to look beyond worldly circumstances and respond with love.
And who's that from?
Reverend Teresa Burton.
All right.
This actually really describes how I feel you are, your persona, your spirit is at Good Morning America. You're very, very patient, and live TV, 2 hours, it's chaotic, and even prior with all of the rehearsals. And I think that's why people respect you and come to you and ask you questions, because they know they're not going to get yelled at for not knowing it or having a stupid question. You know, you're right there, being very patient and having a very open heart, and it's challenging. It's not an easy gig, and you did very well.
Thank you.
I'm proud to be your wife.
Thank you. I'm proud to be your husband.
Oh, you're so cute.
You want to put the hat on since we're talking about marriage?
Oh.
So we got to put on the. Put it on. You put it on. Hail Charlie! That's for Charlie Gibson. We love you, Charlie.
Hail Charlie!
We'll tell you that story another time. But so, dear friends in the spirit, 111.
I thought I was gonna get to say something.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do my thing and then you do your thing.
Oh.
So I thank you for listening to us. Don't forget to share your faith, family, and friends.
Okay, so last week we were doing really elementary things. We were being kind to people. We were going out of our way to compliment people about their jobs and how well they were doing. And I think the third one was seeking silence. I might be wrong. I had a really great interaction with this one gentleman who was trying to cross the street, and this truck was in the way and 2 other cars were in the way, and I saw him and I just waved, and he just gave me this huge smile like, thank you so much, because I'm stuck in the rain, and he walked across the street. Very simple stuff. I am still on this quest and seeking my assignment. So what I really love to do is I love to read biographies, because I feel like I get to know people and their challenges, how they face them. I've had a lot of difficult challenges that eventually we'll talk about, but not right now. So first of all, I just got this book, and it's actually an older book. It's about Jane Goodall, who is one of my favorites. She's a big heroine of mine. It's A Reason for Hope, and it's actually a PBS special back in the 90s. And it's called A Reason for Hope, A Spiritual Journey. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading this because of all the chimpanzees that she learned about and discovered that they use tools and they're very close to us.
And I've been blessed to work with Jane Goodall at GMA.
She just seems really lovely. But a book I really want to talk about right now is it's a children's book, and it's a biography on Louis Braille. And we spoke a lot about fear in reaching your destiny, the fullness of your destiny. And I don't know if all of you know very much about Louis Braille's story, but his dad it was in the 1800s, and he made saddles and harnesses. He worked with leather, and he had a lot of really cool tools. And when Louis Braille was like 5 years old, he'd go in and he'd watch his dad, and he wanted to learn it so desperately. But there was one particular tool that his father kept saying, I don't want you touching the tools, but especially this one. So of course, when his dad wasn't around, he went in and he took this thing. It was a pointed stylus, or an awl, I guess is the proper word, the more proper word for working with leather. It's that thing that pokes holes in leather. So like, you ever go to the shoemaker and say, can you put another hole in my belt? It's sharp. He poked himself in one of his eyes, and it then spread to his left eye because there was an infection, and he was constantly rubbing his eyes like most of us do. And so he was blinded at 5. And back in the 1800s, there really wasn't a lot to do if you were blind, and many people became beggars. But his parents didn't want that for him, and they taught him how to do things even though he was blind. And he eventually went to a school for the blind. And he was very smart, but he was so disappointed that there weren't books. People could read books aloud to you, but you couldn't read them on your own and for your own enjoyment. So he took the very tool, that stylus, that injured him and caused his blindness, and he created the Braille alphabet. And it's really hard to see, but it's all those raised bubbles. And he did it, and it took him, I think the first time he had finished it and started using it, he was only 15 years old. And everybody kept discouraging him because there were things that blind people could read, but the bumps were based on sound. But this was based on the alphabet, and you could read with your hands. And to me, that bravery it took to pick up that tool again and do it for good is such a tangible it's right there. I'm so afraid to touch this, but I'm so desperate to find a way that I can read. It's more important than this fear. I'm bigger than this fear. I can overcome this fear, and I can change the world.
And turn the bad into good, right? This instrument was bad and blinded him, but turned it into a good
The fact that he could move that far and deep and wide, it just boggles my mind, and it really shrinks some of the fears that I have. If I think about if Louis Braille can take that stylus and create an alphabet that's now translated all over the world and create a way for blind people to read and have knowledge, it's just, my fears pale in comparison. And so I'm inspired to jump the fence and go into the fear and grab that stylus and start writing my book, because that's what I'm fearing.
Well, you could do it. You could do it. I know you could do it with
God.
your help, your prayers. And on Friday, Shari and Anna from the Wellness Universe, and I'd mentioned them, and I have their link there. They were at GMA, and they have over 4,000 different people. They're spiritual and wellness people. So we're all connected. And thank you for sharing that story. I see you're a little teary-eyed.
Well, because I'm scared of writing the book, and I want to do it justice, and it's really my love letter to my family that's been so supportive all these years.
We'll get into more personal stuff down the road, but we've had our ups and downs, our bumps in the road, but we're still together. I love you. I appreciate you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's okay. We love you guys. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, wonderful week. We'll see you in a week, and don't forget to
Cue the spirit. Just cue it.
just a little cheers. It's all good. Okay, love you guys. Bye.